Welcome to the Black Swan Yoga Podcast. My name is Patsy Montoya. I'm here with my dear friend, Madilyn Chen. And today we are talking all things seasonal, holiday healthy tips. You are probably tuning in. If you're listening around the time of year we are filming this, then you might be a little stressed. It's just that time of year where there's a lot going on. So let's talk about it.
Oh, hello. If you happen to be watching this, you're lucky enough to see Patsy's lovely Christmas sweater. If you are driving or just listening in, just imagine a lovely green scene of snow and deers running through the field with a red barn, of course, and the trees in the wild are decorated. Oh my gosh.
And
I'm wearing all black. I did not get the memo. Oh man. Anyways, I'm excited to talk about this. It's the beginning of December. Mm-hmm. We are still very much in the Vata season, which we have been talking about lately, which is a season of movement and stress and chaos and excitement and change and all things happening. Yes. And we're excited to dive in to talk about having a healthy holiday today because, like we've thinking a lot about lately with this Vata season and flu season kind of in this mix. It's so easy to get stressed or unhealthy in the body. And we wanted to bring in some mindfulness practices and healthy practices and just kind of have a discussion about what we're going through and maybe you could relate to and help you to have the healthiest holiday yet.
Yes. And, something I want to talk about is why we get stressed. I think it's really important to notice, these triggers. There's a lot of things going on this time of the year. And, for me personally, even and we'll dive more into this, but I was saying to myself, right now, my real true therapy for myself right now is my nutrition and my movement. It's so important for me personally. But before I even talk about why that is important for me, I like to look at where is my stress level, really checking in with myself and being honest with myself. What am I stressed about? What am I worried about? What's coming up? Because when we get too stressed, there really is a reaction in the brain, that we know of called fight or flight. Either we want to fight with something, push it away, or we actually run from it. We take that flight. And this time of the year is also a place where we come back to, a lot of us, there's pressure to come back to the roots. Maybe not pressure, but we usually do go back to family. Or maybe you've made the decision not to go back to where, family or where you came from. And that can be stressful in itself as well. And looking back at when we were children, that fight or flight, most of us didn't have an option to, fly because we're living under the roof of someone else, of our parents. And so if there was that stress, if there was, something going on, it was fight at that point growing up. And so then we get to the age where we do fly. And so then there's this place of the holidays. Do we go back? Do we not go back? And how we go back is, being prepared for the same stress levels. And so we have different tips for different situations that we'd like to talk about if you do feel like you're getting into this fight or flight or just overwhelmed or very stressed out.
Oh, Lord, I'm having a fantasy of being Kevin from Home Alone. Where you're accidentally left behind. Oh, and you have the house to yourself, and it's all fun and games until robbers come to get you. Yeah. So bad. God, I feel like that. It's so funny. I have a big family, and in a way, I feel like it's kind of like that. There's just so much chaos, so many people, and it can be most of the time really fun and amazing and hilarious and a lot of personality and just like a lot of stuff going on and really exciting and fun. But it can definitely also teeter on the brink of becoming stressful or just a little bit too much to stay grounded sometimes. So I love that analogy you're talking about. When you're a kid, you can't really fly. You have to, stay and be with your family. I mean, I guess you could run away. Did you ever run away when you were a kid?
I ran to my dad's workroom in the garage and I said, I'm living here now. I made like 4 peanut butter and jellies.
Oh, yum, delicious. That is really funny.
I remember just being like, I forget what it was about, but being so pissed. I was like maybe a 6-year-old, 7-year-old, and just like,
that
done.
Is so cute. You made 4 peanut butter and jellies when you were 6. Impressive.
Maybe a little bit older.
I don't know. I don't think I ever ran away. I'm trying to imagine if it was me or my sister, but I remember somebody packed a suitcase and started dragging it down the long driveway we had growing up. But it probably was not me. I'm just kidding. It might have been me. I have no idea. And then we're like, oh, it's cold. I'm going back home. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But the holiday season is, it's just so interesting how it can be such a combination of stress and elation. Being able to have more than one feeling going on at once can sometimes be confusing and hard to manage because it's the holidays, right? Like it's supposed to be this exciting time, so many parties, things to do, things to celebrate, gifts are being given, feasts are being had, parties are abound. And it's kind of all about celebration and reflecting on the past year and thinking about how lucky we are and all these things. But it can also really be stressful, you know. We were talking, it's so funny. I feel like our moms are pretty similar and that's, they're both really strong women and it makes sense because we are too, which is great. But they definitely, have a tone of you have to come home for Christmas. This is our family, which I appreciate keeping everyone together. Right. But we were talking before we started filming about how some years that can be a little bit stressful from a financial standpoint, making the journey home. You drive, I have to fly for 8 hours to get where I go. And the financial commitment of it, and then the time, and then, just thinking about, well, where do I want to fly to? I want to fly home. Do I want to fly to the Bahamas?
Ooh.
But, it's like you gotta, a lot of people, I think, feel that pressure to be with family, but also at the same time, be happy to be with family. So I think it's really normal to have 2 different feelings at once. And for me, that's something that I really need to make peace with or realize, and kind of has set me free in a way of I'm never going to be only happy or only peaceful. I'm maybe going to be happy and content, but have a little bit of stress or worry or fear about this or that. And, it's just the human condition, I think, to be complex and contain multitudes of emotion and feeling and thought. But there are so many practices we can dive into to try to keep ourselves chill.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you said to come to peace with this like duality of how I'm feeling, because it's okay to have an range of different emotions. And I think just studying that too is really important of, okay, I'm excited to go home. I'm also stressed because of X, Y, and Z. And then figuring out, how do I ground myself during that time? How do I navigate my emotions and my reactions, my responses during that time? And there's a lot of things that could be triggers for us. This, as Maddie said, this is a time where there's just a lot going on. So number one thing I'm going to say is that you can say no to anything. You are on this, you're listening to a podcast, so you're on a path of self-help and self-evolution, and being an adult that you can say no. And, it's okay to spend time away from a party or away from whatever it is, the festivities, because there is a lot going on. And for me, that's huge. I need time. If I don't say no to something during this time of the season and I'm going to everything I'm invited to, I will wear myself thin and almost start to become this person where I'm like, why did I say that? Was that me? Like I'm like too much in the clouds, and not able to ground myself down, think about what I'm saying, how I feel, and then respond from there. It's really an interesting thing. So I do recommend giving yourself space to say no. And this could be a podcast in itself, saying no, because you don't need a reason to say no. No is no. But a lot of times we feel the need to say, no, I'm sorry because of this or that, where I have to do something else. But really, those who love you and honor you, they'll respect your no. It's not necessary. And if there is a conversation that needs to happen, then, converse in a kind and polite way of like, this is how I honor myself. I really need this time away from the people and the music or the stimulation right now.
Absolutely. And it takes to be able to say no or to, evaluate what you're going to prioritize over something else. You have to become still. You can't be running and going 5,000 miles an hour and just making quick decisions all the time. Like, yes, I'm going to go to that. Yes, I'm going to go to that. No, I'm not going to go to that. Like take a moment to sit down, maybe daily, to have a practice of stillness, especially during this time of chaos and fast movement in the mind, body, parties, life, work, everything. It's the end of the year, a lot of stuff happening, to just be and think and breathe. And be like, you know what? I'm going to give myself permission to have a boundary for myself, to stay sane and to stay healthy, and say, oh, actually, that extra party with so-and-so, blah, 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 I'm going to pass on that. And it's funny, I recently have taken a break or permanent break from social media. And when I did so, I was really curious about how people were going to respond to it, and whether they were going to notice at all, which has been comical.
I noticed right away.
Oh my gosh! But I was talking to my husband last night about it, and one of my friends texted me and said, I can't find your account or something like that, and it's been really surprising to me that people are not prying. And I kind of had this pressure of feeling like people are going to think I'm, having like a mental breakdown or like, oh God, like, what is she doing? Going off social media, whatever. And it's been really nice and refreshing to kind of restore my trust in people of respect and honor of each other. Of, people have asked me like, hey, I just want to make sure like your account isn't showing up, you're off right now. And that's it. No one has asked me why or what's going on or why the hell are you thinking or, and I think that's been really cool for me to feel in the last month or two. And I think that's a really cool reinforcement of just this freedom we can allow ourselves. And it's really easy to create a storyline in our head that we don't have the freedom to make choices and say no to any and everything. But this experience has been really reinforced this whole idea of I am so free.
Yeah,
I'm so free to do what I want, what I need, make decisions. And of course, everything we choose to do has some kind of path afterwards. Instead of saying the word consequence, like every choice we make matters for ourselves and for each other, the people in our lives. But, saying no to something isn't oftentimes going to be as big of a deal as we maybe make it out to be. Like, oh God, if I don't make it to this party, everyone's going to know. They're going to be upset. They're going, I'm going to miss out on something. Right. FOMO, fear of missing out. So I'm really glad. And we were laughing talking about this concept of saying no, because this year, I'm not going home for Christmas. I'm nearing over 8 months pregnant. So I can't legally fly when the time of Christmas comes. So I am home, whether I like it or not. And so in my mind, I'm thinking like, I'm going to miss out on our normal routine of going to my mom's house with my family. And it's, it's kind of sad to miss out on that. So I'm thinking like, oh, I have to I'm like a squirrel in winter, like gathering all my stock. And I'm like, I have to have so many things going on so I don't feel sad that I'm missing out on this. Like I said, I have a really big family, and most of our family, my siblings, are up in Massachusetts. So my sister will be here with me and my dad, which is great. But I didn't know if they would be here or not. So I've been saying yes to everything. I'm like, I'm going to that. I'm going to that. Yes, we're doing this. We're doing that. Just going and trying to think like, okay, around Christmas, okay, I'm going to go do this event, that event, whatever. And Patsy's like, let's talk about saying no. I was like, oh my gosh, shit. I have not been even thinking about that. And it's funny, even saying yes, you can think of as like a positive thing or, thinking of abundance. And it's beautiful that there are so many things to do and celebrate and have fun with. But I think we're all very unique. in our own personal needs and where we're at physically and emotionally. And it's a constant dance to figure out what we need in any given month or year. And things can really change. You know, like maybe 2 years ago, I could go to 500 parties in high heels and be fabulous and stay up late and have a great time. And now I'm like, okay, I'm maybe going to wear flats this year. You know, inner battles, you guys. I don't want to wear flats, but my pelvis is not so happy right now, so I probably should. But just saying no is like, it's just, it's such a funny and interesting, complicated dance instead of battle, like dance, you know, like I don't know.
It is. And there's a season for everything in our lives. And I feel that season of where you're saying, like a couple of years ago, I would be going out in my high heels.
We have some fun memories together.
We do. In our
and
heels.
Funny memories. Okay.
But now I'm like really a little bit more conscious of my spine and my feet. You know, I had like a bone spur not too long ago in a foot, and I feel like, you know, it's from my shoes. So I just like being more aware. And then with that, saying maybe also has power. I like the idea of it doesn't have to be so definite right away. You know, like give yourself some time and space to make up your mind. And then as you get closer to the event, then you can decide. But I like the idea of having more power in maybe. I have a friend who told me that he recently, his new mantra is maybe. And a little bit, I'm like irritated with it. I'm like, well, I need to know.
You have a deadline for your maybe.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like that, just giving more power to the maybe. And Maddie, something that you were saying really struck a chord with me of expectations, like what we expect for the holidays to look. And it might be different for everyone. You know, it usually is. A lot of people have like our moms expect us to be there. You know, that's a big thing. And then I think that as we come together during this time, people have all sorts of different expectations of what it's going to look like and feel like. And when they're not met, we can be like sourly let down. And so something I want to bring up is to lower your expectations. And I know that sounds so like not so like yogi of, you know, it's not a beautiful thing to say, but I think being, you know, realistic with people can change. Absolutely. People can change. But if you are expecting someone to change and they're not changing, it's really hard. So during this time, you know, letting go of your expectations of what it should or shouldn't look like and what you're going to feel like. And then, you know, so that way, maybe your expectations will actually be blown away and, you know, it'd be such a sweet surprise rather than a letdown.
Totally. It's funny because I think when you think about no, it's so finite and contained. But really, through the practice of saying no or giving yourself time to say maybe and make a decision, you know, I feel like that allows you to have this more yogic mindset of freedom. And instead of, you know, thinking about lowering your expectations as a bad thing, thinking about it as I'm going to free myself from like this box of how I want it to look and feel and what I expect from this person or that, or what I even expect from myself to feel. You know, I've heard from a lot of people that it's confusing when they feel a lot during the holidays. I should be feeling like this. I should be feeling thankful, happy, you know, joyous, you know, celebrating. But I feel, you know, XYZ.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to psychoanalyze yourself all the time, just allow it to be. And, you know, instead of thinking like I'm going into this with an expectation of, you know, I hope my siblings are like this, my family members are like this. I hope my, you know, crazy uncle doesn't get into talk about politics or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't have any crazy uncles, but I'm just kidding, just in case they're tuning in. You know what I mean? But rather than, you know, thinking about having an expectation, just trying to be there for yourself and for the people you love. During my pregnancy, one of the big things that I have come to learn or open up to is that we're so in our minds and we think that the brain is so smart and knows everything. And it's in the driver's seat of what we do, what we choose. And it is, but it's been really interesting for me to kind of explore this idea that the rest of our body is also really intelligent and it may not speak English or have this ability like the brain does to interpret things in a certain way. The consciousness of your gut or the consciousness of your physical body or your heart, your emotions or what have you. I've really been thinking a lot about how powerful they are and rather, trying to think and live and even trust the mind completely. Just say like, oh, that's my mind again going, thinking. And that's its job. The mind's job is to think, is to make assessments, is to think critically and to judge and make an expectation up and to have this vision of, your future. Where am I going? What are my goals? Who am I? Blah, 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 blah. And I've really been thinking so much about how the body is really in so much control, like the health of your gut, your intestines, your microbiome affects your mental health and the chemicals in your brain. So it's not just, the brain isn't this all-powerful being where if you're feeling sad one day, you can just decide to be happy,
right.
And you can, like the mind has power. It's not to say that it's powerless. It's very powerful, obviously. It's always talking to us. And having a positive perspective or whatever perspective you're trying to cultivate in your life is powerful. But also kind of balancing that with the idea that, my body is, the health of my body really is going to be a big dictator of how my mental health is. So instead of thinking, I'm just going to will myself to feel stress-free and happy and wonderful, instead just saying, it is what it is today in this moment. And I'm just going to breathe. And maybe one day of vacation, my expectations are not met. Maybe another day of vacation, my expectations are super high and it was greater than I expected it to be. But I think there's this magic in saying, no, I'm not going to feed these thoughts, or I'm not going to go to this party where I'm not going to be, fulfilling my highest good. And having a container or a finite, I'm going to create a boundary for myself and I'm going to, decide to do this can really allow us so much more. And rather than thinking about, in a sense of fear of missing out or FOMO, think, by saying no, what will I gain from that? How can I recharge? How can I have better health? How can I feel and be my best self? Exchanging kind of essentially. So
yeah,
it's interesting.
It is. And I love that you brought up the gut because it really is considered the second brain. And some people even call it the first brain because it's so important.
Who says that? I want to read about that.
I don't know.
Somebody says it.
Somebody has said that.
Number one. I mean, yeah, cool.
But
something to Google.
Right. But we, looking at this time of the year where there's more opportunity to eat poorly, more opportunity of alcohol around, and even just getting out of routine. The digestive system directly affects your immune system. And when we aren't getting enough sleep, when we are eating poorly, it all affects so now we're talking not even our emotional health or mental health, but also our physical health. It's no wonder why Maddie was saying at the beginning that this is flu season. There's a lot going on, including, out of routine and a lot of poor nutrition choices.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's so crazy fast. I'm like, routine. I've been thinking about that every week. I'm like, I gotta get back on routine. I'm like, no wonder we go so ham in January. Like we're in this extreme, from one extreme to the other. in the holiday season, even starting with Halloween and all the candy and, whatever, going through November, December of celebration and eating and celebrating and drinking or whatever you do and having fun. And then people are like, I can't take this anymore. I got to go do the Whole30 in January. I have to be on the other side of the spectrum and go sober January, I did that last year, you guys. It was horrible. Now I'm sober life, but
right.
But the extremes are natural for us to do, but it's like,
but it's so unhealthy. It's almost like we have to treat ourselves so terribly in order to be feel motivated to do the Whole30 or to be sober, for a month, or you know what I mean? It's when in reality, I think that finding it not going so extremes, because I usually do the Whole30 in January, and I've been thinking this month or just last couple of weeks, it's like I think I do that because I do treat myself terribly during the holiday season, and so by the end of December, I'm like really just feeling so icky that because I indulge in the pie, I indulge in all the goodies, and I'm not as active. So this year, my intention is to have that discipline, that self-restraint, and to remember my routine. I think for me, and I really encourage our listeners too, to not get to this point where it's so extreme that you give yourself an excuse to be healthy, but instead allow yourself to find that middle ground and to be healthy during these times where there are a lot of temptations.
But also,
yes.
I have little double horns on.
I love it.
But also, have some damn fun.
Yes.
I think, it's like we're all in different stages and times, and every year can be different, but we have the brain and the body. We have our mental health and our physical health, and they're interwoven. They should really be united as one. But oftentimes, they can be these two kind of separate things that we try to appease separately, and realizing they're really interwoven and connected can be really beneficial to us. However, if we're, trying to be too strict and too stressed out about being perfect and not gaining any weight over the holiday season, or being perfect with the health or blah, blah, blah. That can kind of cause us to have this too tight of an expectation, or, put us in that other frame of self-criticism and guilt and allow us to kind of hinder the magic of just being alive and living and experiencing the joy of having some dessert or having a drink with your friends or family and, enjoying yourself. So it's all balance. So wherever you're at, whether you're in a place where you're trying to stay really healthy and routine based, if that's going to serve you, go for that. If you're in a place where over the holidays where you need to cut yourself some slack and share, some ease and pie with some friends, do that. I think it can all be fluid, but I think the overall idea we're trying to share is to have a healthy holiday. It's, it's really based on what's healthy for you. And in your heart and your mind, if you take that time to be still and to just breathe every day and reflect, maybe even journal for one page a day, you'll have such great insight into what will help you. Okay, having some broccoli today is going to be great for my health. Or, you know what? I've been doing really great and super strict on this or that. I'm going to go have some fun at this party.
Absolutely.
Just figuring it out.
Yeah. And only you can know what the answer is for you. I love that Maddie just brought that up, because it is, we can give you all these tips and tricks that work for us, but what is working for you? What's working for you in this season of your life right now, which again, like we said, might be different than what it looked like last year, a few years ago. And just honoring that, being with yourself. We constantly go back to the same tips of grounding yourself, being still, journaling, meditating, really getting to know yourself better to figure out what is best. But yeah, so to, just kind of sum this up a little bit, I would say, things that we've said is feel free to say no. If you need to spend time by yourself, then say no. And on the flip side of that, if you're feeling like you're craving people, then say yes, go to the party, have fun. And the same thing with the chocolate, with the sweets. Like if you are overindulging, because that's what I tend to do, then come into this holiday season with a more disciplined look at yourself. But if you are someone who's already so, if it's too much and it's self-constraint and you're not giving yourself pleasure because you deserve pleasure, you're a human being, enjoy life and have fun, then, see what works best for you right now. What else did we say?
I don't think we mentioned this, but I definitely want to touch on how important sleep is.
Ooh.
Like we're talking a lot about your mental health and how important it is to be in tune with what's going on in your mind and your body for health. And one of the major tenets, some people say the first tenet, but seriously, somebody said.
Someone, somewhere.
The first tenet of health is sleep. Our bodies are designed to recharge and rest and repair overnight. And if you are staying up late to have some fun and then waking up at your normal time to just go all day and cutting out your sleep, that can be one of the first things to trigger some mental stress and definitely physical stress. So please prioritize your sleep. And, I think one thing that's really standing out to me with wherever you're at in this season of your life, it's important to think about what you're doing as a positive. If you're saying no to a party, don't focus on the fact that you have declined something or you're missing out on something. Focus on the fact that you're giving yourself time, energy, love, respect. And the same thing with sleep, If you have the discipline to leave the party an hour earlier than you'd really like to gift yourself that bit more of sleep, really focus on that. And don't just let it be like brush under the rug. Really congratulate yourself on good job, going home a little bit early, doing your routine, flossing your teeth, taking care of yourself to get good rest, because that will really benefit your physical and mental health. So please prioritize sleep. They say, a lot of people have this idea that you are going to catch up on sleep in the weekend or later on at some point. And a lot of sleep research is talking about how that is not beneficial. So consistent, regular sleep with however much you need, and everybody's a little bit different, is the key to health. Catching up on sleep doesn't really help you physically from a health standpoint. So the more you can keep it consistent, the better. And if you are planning on staying up later than usual, past your bedtime, Santa's watching. I'm just kidding. If you're staying up later than usual, still get the same amount of time that you sleep normally, or if you can, take a little nap during the day, of course. But be gentle with yourself. Take care of yourself.
I'm so glad you said that. That has been a huge, benefactor in my life for my health. And, if you don't get enough sleep, they say that who are they? Who am I keep talking about today? I don't know. So some article
the title
or something
of our podcast should be,
they say.
Healthy holiday. I love it.
Who are they?
I love it.
But I must have read somewhere that if you don't get enough sleep for, X amount of time, years of your life, it takes years from your life. It affects so much of your health. And they are still studying the brain with sleep and just how important it is and how it can cause, if we don't get enough rest, it can cause diseases. And so, especially for all you, mama and daddies out there who I know that you are going and caregiving, and, sleep is easily the first thing to go for a lot of us. But in reality, you're not going to serve anyone if you don't serve yourself with sleep.
Absolutely. Get your snooze on. Also, your mindset is everything. If you are trying something new this year, be it saying no, prioritizing your sleep, your health, having more vegetables, drinking less, whatever it is, creating a boundary for yourself. If you're trying something new, do your best to not stress out if you quote unquote fail. Don't think, okay, I'm going to this party and I really want to only have 2 drinks, or I want to stay away from the cheese plate, or, like those tangible things, or a more, heartfelt thing of this year, I really want to be thankful for my family, even though they sometimes drive me crazy. If you're not perfect and you are who you are and you are allowing yourself some room for flexibility, continue to maintain that sense of self-love and positivity in your mind. Because if we allow ourselves to think poorly about ourselves and to ruminate and be on the hamster wheel of repeating in our mind, in our bodies of, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? Why did I drink so much? Why did I stay up so late? That's only adding to the physical and mental stress. So just take some deep breaths and say, it's in the past. You can't get that time back. It is what it is. And try to say, this is a brand new day. This is new time. And I'm doing a great job. I'm doing my best. Something I said in one of my classes this week was a practice that I've been using for a while that's been really transformational for me. And it was really awkward and hard at first. And now it's something I do on the regular. And what is it?
I know, I'm so excited.
Eating a piece of pie every day.
Oh.
I'm just kidding. I wish, but it's actually really simple and free. Yay! It's looking myself in the mirror and either speaking out loud to myself or saying a mantra or something like that. And the mantra I'm sharing this week is the age-old, really powerful, tried and true mantra of contentment. And this is how it goes. I do enough. I have enough. I am enough. And I would like you to add on to the end of that, I love you. So what I like to do is basically get up close to the mirror, look myself in the eyes. And a fun fact, I didn't realize this until I started this practice, that you can only look in one eye at a time. I was like, is there something wrong with me? How come I can't look in my eyes? That's the phrase. And then I'm like, oh, I have to choose an eye. And it's interesting. I feel like when I say something I'm struggling to believe, like I am enough, I won't keep my eye gaze and I'll look to the side, or I'll change eyes, or I'll look away. And that's a moment for me to reflect and just take a breath and try again and say, okay, yes, I am enough. I'm going to do this again. I want to believe it and feel it. So I'm going to maintain contact with that one eye and repeat it. It also makes me giggle, which is great. Laughter is really healthy. Yes. Laugh as much as you can this holiday season. But that practice of just being with yourself, even for 10, 15 seconds, taking a breath and saying this mantra, I do enough, I have enough, I am enough, I love you, is really powerful for me right now. So try it out.
Oh, I love that. Please do. I'm going to try that out. Thank you for sharing that.
Okay, we'll keep it up.
Yes.
We'll keep it up together.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us. We really hope that this was helpful. Leave us a comment, share this with someone that you think could use it this holiday season. We are sending you all of the love, all of the blessings. If you'd like to connect with us, check us out on bsy.tv. We'd love to see you there. And happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays.
Namaste.